So all of this started last Friday when I went with some friends to the Strand, as I do frequently, and I bought a book. This book, to be specific, Cain's Jawbone, and I opened it to read it on the subway back that night, and realized that there was a time-sensitive aspect to it. So essentially, I have under a week and almost exactly a week from the time I picked this book up in the bookstore to trying to solve an incredibly complex 100-something-year-old mystery. I don't think I'm going to make it, but we can never say never. I might be able to do it. Probably not, but I might. So the story of this book, it was written by a man called Edward, what is the second word? Powys Mathers, who was for many years the Observer's crossword puzzler writer. He specialized in what apparently is called cryptic crosswords, which I'm not great at crosswords to begin with, so I don't have a lot of experience with cryptic crosswords specifically. Don't scratch the couch. But cryptic crosswords in regards to regular crosswords are more complex in that the answers are often themselves puzzles. So you have to kind of break down smaller puzzles to put them in the bigger scheme. This will make a lot more sense when you find out what Cain's Jawbone is like. So throughout his life, Mathers wrote under the name Torquemada for his puzzles. Torquemada was a member of the Spanish Inquisition, so that should give you an idea about what his role as a puzzler was for. There is a name for people who write and are into crossword puzzles, but I cannot remember what it is right now. So essentially, Cain's Jawbone was in his second book, the Torquemada puzzle book, which was published in 1934. It had smaller puzzles, but the last 100 pages were this book, which is a self-contained puzzle in and of itself. The conceit of this book is that it was a regular puzzle book, but all the pages were printed out of order by accident. I don't think it's an accident because it makes the pages relate to each other too much. Like, they confuse you on purpose. So it was on purpose, I believe, published out of order. The thing with this book, there are 6 murders. You have to first restructure the book so that they're in order, so all the pages are in the actual order they were before they got reshuffled. You have to figure out the names or the details of the 6 murders and the full names of the people who murdered them. Everything in the book takes place over, I think, 6 months in the same year. And there are, based on what I've seen, a few different narrators, and they all kind of speak in the same weird, very specific style. Are we going to be good? Okay. So I have spent already a few days with this. It's the holiday season, so obviously I didn't have the time like I wanted to on Friday night to essentially rip this book asunder and start arranging them because my roommate's out for the next few days. So I have the living room wall to really go nuts with. I think honestly, the days when my roommates are gone and I have a weird project, things are gonna happen. But yeah, I plan to rip out all the pages of this, try to figure out the organizational system. I have till the 31st of December to submit my answers for what I think the mystery is. The original, in 1934, when this was originally published, they said you would win 15 pounds. I believe there is nothing on the table now. There was, I think, about 1,000 pounds when this was first republished in 2021, but someone already won that. So at this point, we're just going to see how far I can get, because I know people who have spent years. I have So looked into this a little bit. I've sort of started decoding some of the pages, looking up quotes and like which lines are references that are time sensitive that I can use for later on. I have made an Excel spreadsheet. I am also autistic. That might help me in this one. But it seems like it is a very time, like it takes a lot of time to break through this. However, I have a lot of time on my hands in the next like 3 days and no roommate to bother with this. So I'm going to go real hard on this. I will check in with you later. I still have some spreadsheeting to do to keep track of all the stuff in it before I actually commit to ripping out all the pages. But when I'm ready to commit to that step, I will be back here. Especially if the cats don't push stuff over. Okay, see you then. All right, it's a few hours later. I have removed all the pages from the book. I think when they bound it, they did like individual, they like glued them all. I thought they were going to have like the double bind and I was going to have to cut them apart. But no, they planned for everyone to need to rip this out, so that's good. I marked up, I started losing it by the end, so I wasn't as careful by the end, but I marked up most of them. I am going to start with the pages that end with like half a verse. There's a bunch of them. I'm going to take those out, figure out which poems those go, and those will go in pairs. So that's the plan right now. I'm going to take those out, put them aside, and then see where I go from there. All right, so it's been a few hours. I've made some progress. It's midnight. I'm very tired. I also drank some wine. Did that help? Essentially what I did was I pulled out all the dates I know, and then I started going through the rest of them. And essentially one of the secrets about this book is if you just mark down when it says today, there's a clue somewhere in there. Just start grabbing sentences and Googling them. God knows how anyone was supposed to have solved this before Google was invented. That's probably why only 3 people solved it the first time it came around. You just gotta believe. The fact that, like, I think legit 14% is in these double, like, chunks. And this one's Kipling. Kipling comes up about, I know who the writer of this one is. This one's Browning. I know who that is. Like, that helps a lot. I think I know who this one is because it has importance of being earnest. My spreadsheet has grown. My spreadsheet is growing again. I will say most of this takes place in August. Like, this are all the August pages that I have. And I've also, since we last talked, identified the dog passages, because one of the narrators is in fact a dog. I'm losing it a little bit. That's okay. We're having fun. All right, check in with you later. Peace. Okay. It's the 29th. It's been a few days. I haven't had the opportunity to record because people have been sick in this household, and things got chaotic. But I have been tip-tapping away at this fucking little project. Slowly lost my mind. However, even though I still have a few more days, which I might tinker around with some of the stuff and double check and reread it now through the order I think it's in and see if it makes more sense to me. But I think I have it. I think I have the 6 people who were murdered's names, the 6 people who killed them's names, which it helps because 2 of them are repeat offenders. And I think I have an order. Now, I want to do this in 2 parts. Right now, what I'm going to do is tell you kind of some of the clues and hints that helped me achieve this wonderful space, although I will say a lot of it was also the Reddit page. The Reddit page, shout out to you. Y'all have some good theories. Some of you do not, and confused me and led me off the wrong path, but some of you are good. So use it if you're going through this and you hit a rough patch, but like, stay skeptical. I'll just say that. So the way I did this and how I got even this far, even with accounting for the fact that the Reddit page helped me a lot. So I went through, I made a spreadsheet because I love spreadsheets. I counted where people quoted specific authors and marked those off, and then I could sort through that. Certain authors like Whitman get quoted by multiple narrators, of which there are 8, 6 murders over 8 narrators. But for instance, this guy in the beginning of August, he quotes a lot of Whitman, and also Verlaine. So if you combine those, it's relatively easy to notice where those pop up a lot. His is also, I would say this is maybe one of the more complex sequences, in a way, because some of them, like Jasmine's, she's kind of all over the place. So it's all in one day, but figuring out the order of things she's talking about, she does mention things that would relate to the hour at which she's writing, which is like the whole day essentially. But it's a little more oblique, whereas this guy, he mentions the names of places. But some of them are like Diddling, which is apparently a town in England. I didn't fucking know. But then he also mentions like this churchyard is where this brass rubbing he's visiting is. And that's August 6th. Though you can kind of tell, and he ends up in London. So I made a Google Maps thing and I added all these locations and figured out the order in which you would have to walk them to get to London. So that's how I figured that out. This guy exclusively quotes from The Importance of Being Earnest, and in order. So if you're reading the play and you're reading this side by side, he goes down that way, which is how you put it together. This guy talks about plants a lot, and he's going to use different names for them. So I would look up anytime you see a name, or like a Latin name, look it up, write down what the variations of that are, because some of them, like the first poison he talks about, aconite, he also refers to it by wolfsbane, monk's hood, and blue rocket. And so those are all the same poison, but you have to think about them as one. There's other things here that will be confusing to you. I mean, Bill's section confused the shit out of me. But he talks a lot about food, but it's not that guy who talks about food. That guy's a different guy who talks about food. This guy's talking about like booze and Sundays. That guy's talking about like actual food and is listening to a conversation. This section here, the last sequence, is all narrated by a dog. So good luck there. Yeah, that was probably my main misconception going into this. The first read through, I was like, well, obviously Henry is the main murderer. Henry is everywhere. Henry is explicitly mentioned to have bodies. Henry is a killer. Henry is a dog who kills some other animals. You can't hold that against him, but you can't let that confuse you. A lot of the other narrators mention a Henry, and that's like a random other man. They're not the same Henry. Henry is negligible. Forget Henry. Except for Henry the dog, he is very important. Yeah, I'm kind of like, there's just a lot to this. One of the things I will say that's very important is you gotta remember that this guy, the writer, he just knows a lot of quotes from poems. And there's bits where you wouldn't think that that's a quote, but that's a quote. When a narrator says, "My name is Alexander," that's part of a quote. He's only doing that to fuck with you. And I'm like, it worked. I was very confused. I was like, where's Alexander come into this? Fun fact, Alexander doesn't exist in this. Or if he is, he's like someone mentioned by one of the other characters who doesn't show up in the thing. So now that I have all of this, everything is sorted into what I think is an accurate chronological order, but I'm also not super sure. Honestly, I think I can submit my answer if I want to hand in the order chronologically. Now, the thing is, it's a novel, so it could be out of order. What I'm gonna do is I think, take all of these down, which my roommate's coming back today, so I'm sure it'll be nice for him to come back and not think that I've had a mental breakdown during the week he's been gone. I'm going to take these down. I'm going to read through it straight, chronologically, see if that makes sense to me. And if there's another order I want to rearrange them into, I'll keep the sections that are like chunks, like on a specific date by one narrator. I'll keep those together because I think it would be too confusing if I started mixing and matching. I'll also, before I take these down, make sure that I write down who the author is and what my order is for that, because otherwise I think I'll take these down and immediately forget, and the cats will get into it and it'll be fucked. But that's my plan. I'll check in with you later when I think I have more of a finished idea on what I want to choose as the main narrative. Okay, peace. All right, so this is shot really shitty because I didn't have the energy to go get my camera out. But I wanted to end with a little coda where I kind of summarize some stuff I'm going to put in the end of the video. I was going to end this video with this kind of a summary of what I think happens in the book, but because I think that if people are clicking on this video, they might not want to hear my interpretation, I'm going to just make that a separate thing. And I'm not going to give away the answers in that either. I'm just going to tell you the structure of what I think happens. So like the names and the page order, you can figure that out for yourself. So it'll be a situation where with both videos, you still won't have the answers, but you'll have two big hints as to how to do it. So what I'm going to leave in this video, like in the description, is one, a digital version of the book of Cain's Jawbone, because being able to control F and find some stuff is like actually super helpful, because especially if you do this over well, actually, if you both do it, because I did it in a really short period of time, but also if you do it over a long period of time, you will forget where some stuff happened as you're shuffling all these pages around. Being able to control F and search that is super helpful. I'm also going to leave links to two books. You got Highways and Byways of Sussex, which there are a couple of direct quotes from in Cain's Jawbone, but also because it has a lot of helpful geographical information. I don't know England, so I found that super helpful just in terms of where places are, or in one case, a nickname that's given to a town. Also, Chambers' Book of Days. So this is kind of an encyclopedia of like each day and things that have happened on that day, from 1869, I believe. It is very helpful because sometimes when you'll get a clue, you'll look it up and get a date from Google that is different than what people thought the date was 100 and whatever years ago. So Torquemada, when he was writing it, he didn't have Google, so some of the dates are actually inaccurate. So those two are very helpful in terms of research and looking things up and getting accurate information. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna leave a lot of this is just like, maybe I'll leave a screenshot of the spreadsheet I made while I was working through this, but a lot of this is just really diligently going through annotating as much as you can, Google as much as you can. Although, for a bit of warning, when you do Google certain phrases, only Reddit posts about this book will come up. So, like, if you have self control and you can resist clicking through, just keep Googling. I have none, so I just kept being like, oh, what does everyone think about this quote? And then knowing things. But I did have a thing while I was doing this where, if I didn't understand the reasoning they were saying, I would hold off on noting it at all until I could understand the backstory or like the explanation. So sometimes it would be like I would click on it and they would be like, "Oh, this is the last name of this character," and I'd be like, "But I haven't found the clues that would give you that information yet, so I now know it. I can't unknow it, but I won't really register it until I can prove it myself." So if you have any questions, I'm going to try to answer as many as I can. Um, Definitely go on the Reddit pages if you need any help. There's pretty much any section of this book has been debated online, but there's a lot of secrets and stuff that you don't need to know the answer to get the answers that the Unbound wants you to submit for you're getting your results. Although, really sad fact to end this video with, I found out like 2 days ago that the submission, my submission that I sent in like 10 p.m. on New Year's, was wrong because I misread my own writing and I wrote a page twice. So, you know what? I'm stupid, but that shouldn't let you hold you back. If Unbound doesn't prove the results until next year, I will be finding a random person on the subreddit and asking if they can confirm my results are accurate and real. Regardless, I'm probably going to still make the video where I try to walk through the plot, even if some pages, it does turn out, are still completely wrong and out of order. I think I have a relatively okay overview. It's super oblique, so yeah. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. The video where I walk through my explanation is upcoming, and yeah. Good luck, everybody. This thing is a hell of a fucking ride. I'm really into it, though. I wish I spoke Italian because there's apparently, inspired by this, a guy wrote a whole new book in the similar style. I think it's called like something Andromeda, and no, it's the lady with the whatever. Anyways, good luck, everybody. We're all struggling out here.